The studio is complete. Check this out. What? Got the desk that goes up and down. What? I can stand here or I can actually sit down. Either one is gonna work. Well, I gotta utilize this new studio, right? So the best thing I think I can do is take you through the evolution of my vlogging. Now, if you're a big camera guy and you're techie, I'm gonna tell you to turn this video off right now because you do not want to hear what I have to say. I don't know anything about cameras. This is gonna be like the most, I use cameras, but I don't know how to use cameras, if you know what I mean. I don't know anything about them, just turn them on and I push play. That's the kind of thing I do, and maybe that can relate to you. But I'm not gonna tell you what type of model and what it does. I'm just gonna tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. And this has been a really interesting evolution for me because I thought that I was going to find a camera that I really liked. And everybody says, it's very cliche, you hear this, well, every camera is different and it has its ups and it has its downs. I'm gonna tell you what I've liked and what I haven't liked. So I made a decision to start vlogging for a couple reasons, but one primarily for my dad so that he can kind of see my journey and I can document that. The other because I'm starting a company and I'm an entrepreneur and I want to actually see what happens when I start it and I document it every day. I want to see where it is in 5 years. I want to see if I actually am able to make it. And if I do, how cool would it be to document that journey of going up? Nobody really cares about the journey as you're usually going up. They usually care about once you get there, then everybody's all about you. But how about if I can go back and look at those 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years or 10 years that it takes me to build a business and I've documented it every day. I think that's a really cool thing and I'm 100% in. The first tool I used to start documenting was in Africa and I used the iPhone. I didn't have a camera, but I wanted to be a doer, not just talk about it. So I turned the camera around and this thing shoots in 4K apparently, but the tricky part is it doesn't transfer in 4K. I shot all the videos in 4K and then when I exported them into my computer or into my editing software, they came out like in 720. It's like worst quality ever. So this is what I used. I built my connection and my relationship with this. This was a little tricky because I'm always looking in the viewfinder and the viewfinder is so big and the camera lens is so small. So I found myself a lot of times not looking at the camera, but actually looking at the viewfinder. But it was cool because I found some software that could flip the camera around so I could show people and then like, almost like in Snapchat, double tap it and it would flip back around and I could showcase myself. So there's a cool app that did that, but it was laggy and my voice wouldn't sync up with the video. So I wouldn't even recommend it. I'm not even gonna mention it because it wasn't even that good. This is what I used to start my little vlogging journey and it worked. You know, that's all you need. This is really all that you need. I'm a constant progressionary or visionary or whatever you call that. I like to make sure I'm moving towards something and switching equipment allowed me to do that. My next was a point and shoot, but not your typical point and shoot, a little baby GoPro. And this thing worked out great because it's waterproof, very inconspicuous. I could put this in my pocket, pull it out and just film real quick and put it back in my pocket as if nothing happened. So it was a great way for me to have my little spy camera and get some cool shots. But where it really failed is on the audio and the volume. A lot of times this new mic has got some kind of like varying audible level where if something loud like pop, bang, explodes in the distance, it cuts out your whole volume of what you're saying. So I would be talking and I don't know, a motorcycle would go by and it would drown out what I was saying to drown out the volume in the background. So this little suppression microphone that they've built into GoPro didn't really do me any justice. But the viewfinder is super cool. I actually did like this. Usually I'm used to just having a GoPro and just pointing and shooting and really looking at this camera and not paying attention. But the back of this has this little LED screen, which made it kind of cool to see. I didn't really use it as like a time-lapse piece. I just used it for video primarily. That was my thing. I wanted to capture with video and it was a great tool to do that. And I used this probably for the first 125, 130 videos on my YouTube channel for my daily vlogging. And it's worked great. I can just grab it, look at the camera, Where it fails miserably is in darkness. Any type of dark, like even low light situations where I thought for sure I would be able to see myself, after when I looked at the video later, it's pitch dark. So it didn't do me any good. It's just like, it's just a black screen and you just hear my voice. Might as well start a podcast with this thing. That was my next little progression. And then I moved to a bigger, hardier camera. And this thing is it's a Rebel, and it is a T2i. And the reason that you probably don't know what even that is because that's so long ago. It's like Terminator 1. This thing is like 10 years old, but I kind of liked its heft. I like to be able to grab it. And the only thing I didn't like about it is the quality of picture wasn't even close to what the quality of cameras are nowadays. And it just seems so ridiculous to be using a dinosaur when there's so many better things out there. But it was good because it allowed me to get used to all the functions and pushing all the buttons. But this screen, this LED screen, doesn't even move. It's kind of similar to the GoPro. So another good progression for me because I didn't have to fool down with flipping it down or flipping it out to the side. I could just focus primarily on what I was doing and learning all these functional buttons, which I never really had been familiar with. Because the GoPro, you primarily just push it and it records, and then you push off and it stops recording. It's pretty simple. In fact, actually, it's kind of cool. It has a voice activation where you can say, GoPro, start filming, and it just starts filming. So it's pretty cool. Now, this was a good progression, but the quality was bad, and the biggest issue I had was the focus of the camera. It didn't focus like I wanted it to. I think I'm in great focus. I check, and then I'm like, okay, good. And then I'd get home and the video was blurry. I couldn't even use it. So autofocus is a really big deal, especially if you're going to be vlogging or showcasing some things about your daily life. Now, so I didn't even use this very long, but like I said, I really liked how it fit into my hand well. I grabbed it and then could then easily walk around with it. I didn't feel like I needed these extensions, which are very Casey Neistat, right? You know, you can just put this down anywhere, film, adjust, and you can kind of get that shot you're looking for. But even these have their limitations. I mean, this one's so small, it topples a lot of times with the camera. You can barely hold it up. But, I mean, you really can't get that much extension. And plus, I kind of like, just for me, I like being close to the camera. I think it's more intimate. I think it actually has more purpose and more meaning when you can look at the camera closely. So I like it close. Hey, guys, my little doggies are getting all excited. They want to go outside. We are, oh! Wow, that was close. Hey, I'm hearing noises outside. But man, I have to show you the studio. I got lights, I got backlights, I got everything up here. But man, I almost went toppling because he caught that cord with his leg. Well, good. I didn't get electrocuted, and I wasn't out $1,000 for the light system because my dog had to pee. All right, so what are we moving on to? We are talking about getting close to the camera. All right, the newest, latest, and greatest improvement to my collection is the Canon M5. Now, this is kind of a new camera. It just came out pretty fairly new. The thing about this is that I really like it because it's travel size, right? I bought my Mavic drone because it was so small and it can go anywhere in the world with me. And I love that, right? Because I want to be a traveling production crew. That's really important to me. So primarily, I've got my drone now. It's really small, it goes into my book bag. I've got my camera, which is really small, it goes into my book bag. I take maybe one GorillaPod with me. I still take my phone because I need that because it's my phone. And then I usually take this just in case because this is actually always a good thing to have. It fits in your pocket really well. And a lot of times you can't take a camera in there. I can't tell you how many times I've been kicked out of a store because I'm videoing in a store and they don't let me do that. So that's why the GoPro is nice because I don't bring this in with me. I just bring this in with me and I can still get the shots. They don't look as good, but at least I can still capture the content. So what I like about the Canon M5 and what I do not like about the Canon M5. Well, actually, originally I thought, well, this is sweet because it folds down and I'm going to be able to actually see myself. That's going to be the cool thing. I'm going to be able to actually look and see the screen. How cool is that, right? So, as you can see, that's the screen. And I like it because my eyes are always focused right there where they need to be. And by looking at this monitor and this screen, everything looks as if I'm looking at the lens. You can barely tell the difference between when your eyes are looking at the lens and when your eyes are looking at the viewfinder, which is really nice because when you're vlogging, you don't have to look up and around and you can be looking at the camera. This is great because as this feature flies down, this allows me to grab it a little bit more hefty, right? Because it's actually a small camera, and that is one of my kind of qualms, is that when I grab this, it's a touch screen, which is great, but when I grab it, it hits the screen. All these buttons get pushed when I grab it. I turn back around, I realize I've hit some setting that actually took it off of autofocus, so I have to kind of create this little cup with my hand and then keep it away from me. But it's still doing the trick, and I can utilize it on a GorillaPod. The only problem is, once it's on a GorillaPod, it can no longer open up. It doesn't do that. It actually gets jammed like this, so I can't even see it. So it doesn't work very well on a tripod, but it works great if you just carry your camera and you're walking around a lot, which I actually think is best for me right now. I don't need a tripod. I don't need to actually utilize this that much. I actually like to just always hold on to the camera, I kind of as an extension of my arm, always holding it, always keeping it with me. So that actually works well for me to flip that screen down. I know a lot of people like it to flip up because it can work on a tripod easily. I don't really care. This camera's been good for me in the sense that it's small and it's compact, and it's a great progression from going from a camera that is a little hefty and a little old school, a little outdated, to a newer camera with all the cool new functions and features. Now, I don't know a lot about them. I just know that it comes with this lens that actually is 15 to 45. That's pretty good. 45 gets in there really close, but it also can zoom out, and that zoom out is pretty awesome because that is the perfect length away that I can capture myself in the screen and I get everything around me. So I think, what is that setting? 15? So that's a pretty good setting for me because I'm capturing my face, I'm capturing a little bit of the space around me, and it's not too close, but I'm finding myself becoming more creative with this camera. And I think that that is the beauty of actually adding new things to the roster and the repertoire, because with this and this, they were just point and shoots. And it was a great way to start. I just would point where I wanted to, click it, and I would go. The volume, like I said, was a little bit of a problem, but I'm progressing, I'm growing into it. Now, I have the option to zoom in and zoom out. My B-roll is getting better. I can actually vlog something in slow motion. These are cool things. And I'm really excited to actually have all of them on my team, if you will. I don't travel with this anymore. I keep one GorillaPod depending on what size I want for that particular, wherever I'm going. If I'm going traveling to another country, I usually take something more lightweight like this. I'll take the GoPro, and then I'll take my M5. And then that's it. Of course, and then my cell phone. I use the Rode mic, works pretty well. I mean, pretty standard right here. There's so many of these shotgun mics. They all do the job, no big deal. Just gotta decide if you wanna kind of keep it facing you or facing away. I actually noticed that if it's facing towards the subject or where you wanna film, that's actually a good thing because it seems to work in like a linear line. Those are all the things that I have actually discovered on my journey to vlogging. And I wanted to share that with you. And I also want to take an opportunity to show you the new studio with all the lights and all the backgrounds and all the paper. It's kind of cool. Got a little backlight over here. Got two lights right here. I got some kind of headlight thing. I don't even think this is, I'll have to show this. I don't even think this is like a real thing. I don't even know why it's up there. I'm just trying to put it up there just to see if I know what I'm doing. So this is pretty much what I have, just showcasing everything so you guys can see it. And that's actually pretty much it. Now, of course, then there's the 70D. That actually, the camera I'm filming on right now, is a 70D. It always stays up here. That way, these are my travel cameras. These are my cameras that I use to move and be mobile. But sometimes I like to sit and just have everything all set up so I can just step into that space and start going. And that's why the 70D always stays up in this little space, in this corner of my living room, right? It's cool. I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about documenting that journey. I figure I spend a lot of time documenting. I'm outside a lot of times, but how cool is it now that I've got a little space Where when I'm inside, I can still talk to the camera, I can still connect, I can still share, and I can still actually learn from you guys as well. And to me, that's the best thing you can possibly do. So super excited to share that with you guys. Any questions and comments about vlogging, about my experience, hit me up down below. I love responding to comments. In fact, I got this thing. I've never not responded to a comment. Every comment I've ever received via YouTube, Facebook, including actually running 3 other YouTube channels, I have never missed somebody's comment. So I'm actually kind of proud of that. That's my personality. I love to be on top of things and have everything organized. So I don't know a lot about cameras, but I know enough to actually make them work. And the editing software I use is Premiere, same kind of thing with that. Went from iMovie, then moved to like a Camtasia, ScreenFlow, and then I moved to Final Cut. Was really familiar with that, didn't want to change, but I knew that if I wanted to ever move beyond and be able to do transitions and things like that, I was gonna have to move to Premiere. So that's what I use now. I use Premiere for all my editing, for professional stuff, and also for vlogging and things like that. So I think that's it. Guys, thanks for your time, thanks for your attention, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow.